You want to know what teachers really make from side hustles? Not just the six-figure stories. Let's talk about that. My name's Eileen, and I'm from Teach with ND. And so the national average of what a teacher makes, either with a side hustle or even, a second job, falling into that category of side hustle, is a little over $6,000 a year. And when you look at using summers and other breaks, um, quote unquote breaks. I know they're not always breaks, really, but those times that you're not actually in front of students, for 6.5 hours a day, um, and followed by hours of planning on your own time, those times. Um, so when you can use those times too, you can pull in another $3,500 depending on what you're doing. And so on average, according to what I've found online, that can be about eight to $900 a month for some people. So, for example, if you're looking into doing some tutoring on the side or, starting your own Teachers Pay Teachers store, that could easily pull in $100 to $300 a month. Of course, everything takes time, so just keep that in mind. You're not gonna like start seeing those returns right away, but that's a pretty realistic number. Um, and then for something like if you're really going all in on tutoring, and you're creating a lot of digital products that are selling really well, that's when you can start to see more coming in, between 300 and $1,000 a month, for example. And then if you start making your own courses or, offering a specialization in like a specific niche, or doing freelance work, that can start to pull in even higher figures, between $1,000 and $3,000 a month, for example. And these are just ballpark figures, but and everybody's different. What works for one person isn't going to work for another. But those are just some basic figures for you to be thinking about as you are looking into side hustles. As far as like exceptions, there are people who clean up on Teachers Pay Teachers and make, six figures. For example, there's a teacher who I read about that you might have heard about, named Becky, who I'll link to her story in this post, but she was an Oregon teacher and she reportedly made, $125,000 a year with Teachers Pay Teachers. And, doing 10 hours a week in the school year and more on the summers, and that kind of thing. And that's awesome for her. Um, One thing I do want to mention is, as you look into like quote unquote passive income, just keep in mind that like, especially at the beginning, it's really not passive. It's a lot of active hard work. And even once you kind of get things rolling online, you do have to, maintain your sites and, do things that keep it flowing well. So, passive income is not really totally passive, but once you do get these things kind of processing and in place, it is nice. Uh, I know people who, you know, they're making plenty of money day to day from projects that they've posted online and don't necessarily have to be getting paid an hourly wage to make that money, if that makes sense. And with that, like for those of us that are ADHD or autistic or have executive function issues that we work on, um, sometimes some of these side hustles can actually work really well for us with our ability to batch. or our preference for work that is not like completely consistent all the time. So, working in bursts of energy, that comes much more naturally to those of us with differently wired brains. So, if you do start looking into creating content online, you can use that to your advantage and start learning more about batching, how to batch your content and use that hyper focus skill to help you out with that. So you don't need a six-figure side hustle. Of course, we would all like that. Um, but especially at first, setting your sights on something more realistic, even $100 or less at first is great. And then once you start getting things going, you know, $500 extra a month could help you pay for ADHD coaching, for example, or um, sensory tools, things that you might use to regulate your nervous system, or somatic experiencing coaching, or you could put that money towards therapy. I mean, I know that you probably have no shortage of things to spend your money on, especially these days. So if you would like some help, you can download my free side hustle starter map for teachers, and that will help you point yourself in the right direction. It asks you some questions around your energy and your interests, your timeline, like how fast do you need your cash to start coming in, and gives you some guidance as you get started. So I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.